will die if I take 47. Now let me ask, by any accident, did any one of you carry the Bible by accident? Na msionyeshe simu, msinionyeshe simu. So I want to request one of you, I don't know where the mic is, I want to request one of you to read 1 Kings 13 verses 1 to 6. It forms the bulk of what we shall reflect on. Nani atatusomea tafadhali? 1 Kings chapter 13 verses 1 to 6. Ala, hii dunia yote hakuna mtu. By the way, we arrive. Sasa mtaaibika tu bure. Haya, nani amesimama? Wakili mtaki kusoma? Oh, there's a gentleman there. Pewa mic, pewa. Kindly come over. Please come here. 1 Kings chapter 13 verses 1 to 6. Those of you who have got the soft Bibles, kindly go there. Hoping it is not Gideon's.
Got it from the hotel room. 13. 6. It is not from the hotel room. It's called Christian Community Bible Catholic Pastor Edition.
Thank you.
Yeah. A man of God came out of Judah following a command of Yahweh, and he arrived at Bethel while Jeroboam was standing by the altar to burn incense. The man shouted, cursing the altar, "O altar, altar, thus says Yahweh, there shall be born to the family of David a son by the name of Josiah. He shall sacrifice on you the priests of high places, who burn incense on you, and human bones shall be burned on you." At once the man gave a sign. He said, "This is the proof that Yahweh has spoken. The altar shall be torn down, and the ashes on it shall be scattered." When the king heard the man of God shouting and cursing the altar of Bethel, he stretched out his hand from the altar and said, "Arrest him." Immediately, the hand which he pointed out against the man dried up, and he could not draw it back. The altar itself crumbled, and the ashes on it were scattered according to the sign that had been given. And so the king said to the man of God, "Entreat the favor of Yahweh your God and pray for me so that my hand may be restored." The man of God entreated Yahweh, and the king's hand was restored as it had been before. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Keep that reading at the back of your mind. I want first to distract you. And I want to give you as a distraction the 7 statistical facts that I would want you to keep remembering from our social scientists. Number 1, if you want to restore families in the world, target men. If you need families to be restored, make sure that you have talked to men, because we need men for family restoration. Number 2, it is what I had shared with you during the homily. If you want to restore churches, we need men. If we want our church to grow, we need men. And that is why we need to rethink about what Bonabiu has said about us being the instrument of the church growing. Why do we target men to grow the church? Because when a child accepts Jesus, a child has only 4% capacity of helping the church. Women, when they have accepted Jesus and they are in church, their contribution is 13, not even 17, 13%. And when men accept Jesus and they have a relationship with him, they contribute between 83 to 93% to the church. That is how powerful, gentlemen, you are and we are. Number 3, if you want to finish criminals in the society, target women, and the mothers in particular. Men cannot be used to eradicate criminals because largely criminals are men. God, hello men. So the government officers who are here, please take note, and you can quote me even in heaven. Number 4, if you want to eradicate to about 80% of lesbians and gays in our schools, target couples and single mothers. Number 5, if you want to control, if not eradicate, teenage suicide, befriend them and know they are real friends. Real friends. Today I can submit to you, the dads who are here, chances of you not knowing the friend of your sons and daughters is higher than Jesus coming back again. Because our children present to us what they call screensaver friends, the ones that can placate our heart and please us. Number 6, if you want to conserve nature, target men. They were given that manual by God. In fact, the first man to destroy environment was a man, the first person. So if you want the nature to be conserved, we only need men. They are the only ones who are given the manual by God. Number 7, if you want to reduce to 6%, if you want to reduce to 6% suicides in the world, talk to men and allow them to talk. Talk to men and allow them to talk. Bonabiu has talked about that. And I also want to encourage you, keep talking. Please keep talking. Let men talk. Talk to one another. When you are going through challenges, talk to one another. Don't kill yourself before you have talked to one another. So just do that. That was just a distraction. Thank you for taking the distraction positively. I don't know whether you had a choice, but anyway. But it is okay that you have taken that. Now, let us go now to our topic today. Padre Karibu Sana, our parish priest, has come. So he is one of our main listeners. Asante sana. Karibu sana, Padre. The mindset of a man of God. There is something from First Kings 13:1-6. There is something that God is asking you as men. And one of the things that God is asking for a man on becoming a great man, number 1 is a messenger. A man of God, a great man of God, sets out to do what God has instructed him to do without being distracted. Dear men, be messengers of God. Some of you are so knowledgeable politically. Some of you are so knowledgeable scientifically. Some of you are so knowledgeable socially. Some of you are so knowledgeable mathematically. And some of you are so knowledgeable in knowing nothing. But as you are knowledgeable in whatever it is that you know, I want to request you this afternoon that, gentlemen, be messengers of God. The men that have been read here by Bonabiu, the ambassadors of CMA in our Jumuiyas. Now we send you to those Jumuiyas as messengers. When you go there, please speak about us. Say something about the CMA. Be a messenger there. Number 2, a great man of God is a mediator. This I love. He is a mediator. And a mediator is someone who has a good word even to an enemy. You know, one thing we have read from the text that we have read is that when kings set out to go and kill, there were intercessors who were praying for the hand of the king. A careful man of God has time to say a prayer for an enemy. Now let me ask you a nice question. I'm told, or so I read, that the worst sin you can do to a man is to snatch his wife from him. So let me ask you, and this you have to answer, starting with you. If a man steals your wife, naye kabisa, uache wewe na baridi na Yesu, would you pray for him? Now, uko serious? Jitete, would you pray for a man who has stolen your wife?
That's a good messenger that you've taught us.
Ujamani mkora. Would you pray for a man who has stolen your wife?
Straight answer, no.
Okay.
But a converted or as a messenger of God, I will try.
You try?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Now, with the message that I have given you today, you have gone home today and you find a man in bed with your wife and you have just been preached to by Father CK. What would you do? Yeah, they are in bed, they are not praying. Very good. So now, as a mediator, so we are being sent to do a difficult task. I'm imagining a situation where you are in business with someone who is a partner, and somehow the fellow owes you a lot of money. And then he puts you in a very difficult financial position. I know, humanly speaking, you'd be justified to feel bad, even maybe to think of some revenge. But today we are being called, being asked, as great men of God, please let us mediate. When things are not working, be a mediator. Make things work when they can't work. Speak well of that person who has made your life difficult. Number 3, a great man of God is cautious with money. And here we are talking about taking rewards that are not necessary. If we were to take statistics in the Catholic Archdiocese of Nairobi, if there was, can be, but if there was a possibility of bringing together all men from all churches, atheists and pagans combined, and then we collect samples of all of them, and then we are given, let us assume that there are 500,000 men in the archdiocese. Alafu tuambiwe, we have been given 1,000 most corrupt men in Nairobi. Ni wagapi wetu ambao wanaweza kuwa pale? Unaenda kwa lizo na huyu jamaa waliji ako namba 17. 17 is yekekuwa namba 90 at least. So that is my question that I'm asking, that please, when we go out there, be a man who loves his own money. Do not be a man who privatizes that which is not his. Number 4, and this could be my best. Be cautious with who you have your meals with. Be cautious with who you have your meals with. Why? They say that the way to a man's heart is through the stomach. So that means you must be careful who enters into your heart. You see, when you have a foreigner in your heart, the persons who have shared the emotional part of your being, they start becoming irrelevant. If you find a man being so disrespectful to the wife, you can be sure before God, there could be a very bad friend who is in his life, either a man or a woman. Maybe he has met a man who has zero respect for women. Na namwambia sasa, wewe kila wakati mko na bibi yako, kwani ulikaliwa? To prove that hajakaliwa, now he started being a terrorist. And so because he has replaced the emotional person who was in the heart. So the guy goes home, haongei na mtu. Akiongelesha matusi. Na sio matusi tu, ile imekomaa. Or you get a point where you have your own wife and then the way you talk to her, it is not so good. Simply because you are used to sharing your meals with someone else somewhere. And I challenge men and I ask them, if the person you share a meal with is a woman who could not keep her marriage, and she is the one who is making you disrespect your own wife to break your own marriage, and you are the man, the carrier of the family wisdom, and a woman who broke her marriage is now carrying your heart. Dear men, what is happening? Remember the question we asked later in the morning. How comes that a woman who you wooed, ukamweka box, ukamleta nyumbani, mkazaa na yeye, all of a sudden amekuwa difficult, ameanza kukuchapa once a week, na unapumua tu, alafu natuambia siku hizi wanawake wa siku hizi, wanawake gani hizi tulikuolea? Unawezaje okota wazee mwende kwenyu na msafara wa magari, uende mtoto wa wenyewe, alafu akuje hapa sasa, all of a sudden after 17 years of marriage ameanza kukukalia na kukufinya, alafu nataka kutuita mkutano utuambie wanawake wamechange? No, I don't think so. There must be some problem somewhere. Maybe the heart has been invaded by a foreigner. Maybe, just maybe. And that is why I give this free advice to all married men. And I want to hope that all of you are married to physical women, not to Facebook women. If you are married to a real woman, there is only one thing that you cannot do. If you are a wise man, if you go out there and there is a woman who is becoming your friend, and the friendship is becoming a bit deeper, there is only one line that she cannot cross, the line of your wife. You wouldn't allow a woman who is not your wife to insult your wife. You can't. Unless then there is a big problem with you. You would be the first person to protect your wife and to protect your children. Dear men, please don't allow the persons who are under your care to be mistreated as you watch. Whether it is from your family members or from whoever. When you make friends, let friends be friends. And I repeat again, be careful whom you share meals with. When you are going home at 3 in the morning, mulikuwa na nani? How many family values have you learned the whole night that you are out? If we are able to answer that question, then tuko sawa. So that we can be able to guard our hearts. Dear men, guard your hearts. Do not allow a foreigner to enter there, a person who was never meant. Number 5, be a man who follows a greater authority. Be a man who follows a greater authority. Jesus said, follow me. But then there's a man who said, Lord, let me first go and bury my father. And Jesus said to him, leave the dead to bury their own dead. There is always an immediate. Dear men, be a people who would be able to follow the authority in the church. In the church, our immediate authority as men is now, in this context, Mr. Bill, who is our leader. In the parish, there is a moderator. These are our immediate authorities. But in the matrix of the Catholic Church, we have got our parish priest. We are having a very funny trend in Africa, where now we are fighting our own priests. Don't fight your own priests. Guide them. And as I told you, in the Catholic Church, our priests are our authority. They are the ones that we have been given by the church to guide us and to shepherd us. We may differ at some point, but please let us respect their authority just as we would do to the men who are leading us. Some of you are employers. I don't know how you would feel if a fellow you have employed can't take orders from you. It becomes so difficult. So for us to be, and for us to talk about the authority of Jesus Christ in our lives, we must first personify, as it were, the other authorities that we have. And as I have said, we've got the men who are leading us, and we have got our parish priest and the priest who work under him. Number 6. A great man of God is a man who takes sacrifice for a higher good. Sacrifice for a higher good. Allow me on this to thank you for dedicating a whole day to come and just listen about the word of God. This is a sacrifice. I'm sure some of you had schedules that may have taken a whole day, but you did this sacrifice to come and sit and listen to one another and listen to the word of God. Please keep it up. And this sacrifice, you are being called every day to make sacrifices for yourself and for others and for the higher good. Some of you in life and over the years have sacrificed for the children that God gave you. You have sacrificed for your wives. You have sacrificed for your friends. Keep sacrificing. This never ends. Number 7. A great man of God commits to determined and joyful obedience. To determined and joyful obedience. We would call it intentional obedience. I know scientists tell us that men have a problem obeying men. But please try to obey each other. Please try to obey your wives. They say there's a saying in Nigeria that when men have a sitting and they are discussing something and then they cannot get a solution, so many will say, let us sit on it. Let's go and sleep on it. And then they go home to sleep on it. Mnajikanisha? Sasa wakifika wanaenda wanauliza, by the way, unajua tulikuwa ile meeting, alafu chairman akauliza hii. Na watu wako wanajua, lakini akisema hakuwa anajua hata yeye. Watu wako wanajua tumesumbuka, lakini tukasema tuwaje tu tuende tutakumbuka. And then the wife says, no, but you do this and this and this. Aha, by the way, I had even told them. So kesho mnaenda, jamaa anatokelezea ako na mistari na ni ya kupewa. There comes a time, and I'm sure you know this wisdom. There comes a time that our breakthrough is in the wisdom of women. And for those of you who may have doubted, allow me to tell you this as your priest, women also have functional brains. That is why you choose them to sire the next generation with them. The reason why you have that woman you have as your wife, there is something special you saw in her. Now, let me ask, if the woman you married was your first girlfriend, the first one you slept with, you had, Father ufuge macho? Father ufuge macho hapa, we are about to see a good answer. If the wife you married ni yeye tu alikuwa wako wa kwanza kulala na yeye, mkono juu. Hii ni gathering ya wakora tu. Now that drives my point home, that you had known a few other friends, but there is one that you choose. Na ukasema huyu amewashida wengine wote, and that will become the mother of our children. That means there's something special you saw in her. Please don't allow that special thing you saw to die, because you are the one to mentor her into the greatness that you'd want her to be, together with the kid that God has given you. Number 7, he commits, a great man of God commits to spiritual discipline. Spiritual discipline, committing to spiritual discipline. What does it mean? This means that a man will take some time to go out there and have a day of prayer, like today. Maybe once in a year or twice in a year, a day of recollection that you go and pray, not even as a group, sometimes just alone. Sometimes you are just passing along Kiambu Road and you have like 30 minutes. Unaigiza gari pale hivyo, unasimama hapo, unaingia kanisa, 30 minutes of adoration, the sacrament, alafu unatoka unaenda. You don't even have to go to your church. Maybe you're in Basilica, na ulikuwa unangojea mtu, na umebakisha like an hour. Rush to Basilica. There's a perpetual chapel of adoration. Just go there. Wherever you are, there is always a Catholic church somewhere, and they're always open. To go there, just get inside. Last year, I was in Canada, in the Archdiocese of Halifax. I went to some town, unapitia kwa kichaka, on your way to the mountains. And we came across a church, a very beautiful church. That church does not have inhabitants who worship there. It is the church along the road, and it has the Blessed Sacrament. There is a brother who takes care of it. And that church is for sojourners, for travelers. Wakipita tu, wasimame hapo, waigie, wasali, wakieda. It is not a parish that has anybody. So they have got that tradition that wanaigia kanisani katika safari yao, wanaabudu wakieda. I want to encourage you, dear men, kindly do the same. Have some spiritual discipline alone as a person and collectively as a group. Number 9. A great man of God commits to abide in the word of truth. I want to encourage you to read John chapter 8, verses 31 and 32. Jesus said to the Jews who had believed in him, "If you abide in my word, you are truly my disciples, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Now, on this, dear men, I want to encourage you to become disciples of truth. Truth. Tell the truth all the time, even when it's a bit painful and embarrassing. Are we communicating? So when when you are asked a difficult question by your wife, just tell her the truth. Umekuja, umechelewa, umefika nyumbani saa 9, na nguo hainuki venye ilikuwa inanuka asubuhi. Akuulize mlikuwa na nani? Mwambie tu ukweli. Mnaonaje? Mwambie tu nilienda huko Kino, tulikuwa na Magi wa bar, alafu die hatukuongea sana, mimi nilikamwacha nikaenda. Alafu na ilagi iko hapa, sema ulizirai. I fainted, nikamwagukia. Ala. Maogo zingine hazina miguu. You know, nowadays I tell men very funny that if you have to lie, if you have to, which is not a must, write your lie down. The reason why I tell men to speak the truth all the time, because men have a very poor memory. Unadanganyana uongo moja Monday, Friday umesahau. Ulisema on Monday, ulichelewa ofisi, mlikuwa na mataga, kuna mtu amefiwa. The same question, because you know your wife, women speak face to face, men speak side to side. A man always has a very nice conversation when mwenye anaongea naye ako hapa next, hapa hivi. See, face to face men never communicate. And that is why those of you who are pathological liars, unadanganyana ukiedaga. Atulikuwa wapi? Nilikuwa Ruai, alafu nikanunua plot. Wezi ukasimama umwangalie umwambie nilikuwa Ruai kuangalia ile nini? Hapana. So if you know that you don't have a very good memory and you must lie because you are an agent of the devil, get a paper and a pen. Write down your lie. Keep rehearsing. Are we communicating? But because that is so difficult, please be ambassadors of truth all the time. Even when the truth to be given is a bit embarrassing. There is nothing as good as the truth that liberates you in the event everything has been unearthed. Number 10. A great man of God commits to growth and production, especially the spiritual fruits. Please read John 15, verse number 8. By this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be my disciples. Productive men spiritually are disciples in any association they enter. When we are spiritually productive, Bill and his leadership, we will never complain that we had a meeting for men and the men cannot show up. Why? Because now we know better and we know our worth. Number 11. A great man of God commits to carry out God's mission. To carry out God's mission, not your mission. It is God's mission. Whatever you do must be for the greater glory of God. Matthew chapter 28, verses 19 and 20. A great man of God commits to love others faithfully. And we don't love them because they are good to us. We love them because we have a religious duty to love others as Christ would. And especially loving others even when they are either sexually perverted or becoming slowly social misfits. Dear men, as a marriage counselor, I want to request you. It is becoming difficult for our dads to love boys who are becoming social misfits. If you have a son mwenye ameigiria bagi, your love for that son should never stop. Love him the way he is and guide him. If your son comes to you na kuambie, dad, I am gay, na niko sawa, usimwambie si hapa kwangu. Because a child can become prodigal not because you're a bad dad, not because you're a bad mother. A mother is bad. Children can become prodigal on their own because of peer pressure. So those of you who have children who are struggling sexually or with drugs, don't think that you are the worst dad ever. You are not. You are not. You are a good dad, but your son has chosen another way. Love him anyway. And tell him, if your son tells you, Dad, I'm gay, the first thing you do is to give him assurance of love. If you are called in school and you're told your daughter is a lesbian, the first thing there are 7 steps, but number 1 always is to assure them love. Mwabie, my son, you know I love you. And I know I never gave birth to a son who you marry a man. I know when you are out of this, doubt and out of this illusion and darkness, I know you become who you are meant to be. Your daughter the same. Tell her, my daughter, I love you. I know once you are over what you are doing, you become the great woman that you are meant to be. If your son comes home so drunk, as long as he is not fighting anyone, when he sobers up, talk to him. Tell him, my son, I love you. When you stop taking that lot of alcohol, I know you become the great man that you are meant to be. Always assure them love, especially when they are becoming very difficult. Now, answering the question that we had asked during homily, if your wife is becoming difficult, love her. The Bible does not tell women to love anybody. The Bible tells men to love their wives. There is a reason why God told men, because I think men are suspicious when it comes to love. So, even if she is difficult, please love her. Please love her. Please do. Please do. All the time. Number 13. A great man of God is committed to brotherhood and community. Brotherhood and community. Now I get back to what Mr. Biu have said. And he asked the question, why don't men talk to one another? You know, we have seen this trend that men get lost in the company of men. For reasons I will never know. Maybe today during the discussion we may need to ask that question. For example, what is your name? Waigajo, are you married to a physical wife? I give an example of this gentleman. Waigajo is married, and we know his wife. And maybe then you have gone for some rurashio somewhere in Nanyuki. And Waigajo, for whatever reason, shows up with another lady. Na venye wanashikana, hakuna Mungu hapo. And the funny thing with the men is that the man who knows the wife of Waigajo says nothing. Anamuya tu, leo ni huyu That means Waigajo ni anajulikana kama gaidi kwa sababu ameuza leo ni huyu. Na huwezi ukamwambia Waigajo, I know your wife. What are you doing with this? Na ukasirike uwapige picha utumie bibi yake ama mnaonaje? So, that is what the problem is. But dear gentlemen, we must be proactive. Proactive means we must help each other. Ukiona mtu amekunywa sana inamaliza, usikubali tu ati wewe utaongea wakati wa mazishi yake na ungesimamisha msafara wa mazishi by talking to him. If a man is riding into depression, please talk to him. Don't allow your friend, don't allow a man you know to get lost under your watch. Number 14 is my final word. A great man of God blesses. Blesses. A great man of God blesses. Dear men, I want to encourage you to continuously bless your children. Please talk blessings to them. bless them. But before you do, have a relationship, a spiritual relationship with your wife, that you can speak a blessings to her. Now, allow me to share with you the 5 characteristics of a father's blessing to the son or the daughter. When you bless your children, 5 things happens, or you do 5 things by blessing them. Paternal blessing does 5 things. Number 1, paternal blessing affirms. You affirm your son. You affirm your daughter. By the way, the first person to hear from a girl that she is beautiful, it is not her mom. The mom will always say, even when she doesn't mean it. And daughters know. The only person who says, I am beautiful, and he means it, is my dad. That is why we say to a girl, dad is her first love. To a son, dad is his first hero. So you can imagine if you are the first love of your daughter and you have never told her that she is beautiful. You have never spoken words of affirmation to her. My dear brother, you have failed her. As a dad, you have failed. Number 2, a daddy's blessings equips. Unampatia silaha za kupigana vita. Number 3, a daddy's or a paternal blessing encourages. When you bless her, tell her that, my son, I know you can do better. I know you'll go far. My son, I can see you are struggling academically. I know you can do your best. Because many a times our sons and our daughters struggle exactly where we struggled. If your son is struggling, those of you who have young sons, if your son is struggling academically, go back to your history of your wife. Kuna kale kaujiga mliletea huyu mtoto. And now you want him to have an A. And where the only time you had an A, you had marked your own paper. You can't be serious. You can't be serious. So encourage your son. Mwambie tu, you try. Do your best. Na nasema kwa roho, hii ni ujika yangu. Lakini usimwambie. But please encourage them. Maybe you have a son who is now grown up. And you may see that your wife, your son is really struggling in his marriage. And you look at yourself, at that age, you had the same struggle. Please tell your son, my son, this journey is never easy. I know you'll make it. Me and your wife, me and your mom has been this journey for 47 years. You will make it, don't mind. Ukisikia ameshtakiwa hapo nje kuna pahali anaenda, mwambie rudi. Na umwambie, in fact, as a son, talk to him as a man. Mwambie, hata mimi nikiwa kama wewe, nilikuwa na macho ya jioni. Lakini nikaona haitanisaidia. Please encourage him. Don't tell him that, unajua siku hizi ndoa imekuwa gumu. Sio gumu. Encourage your son. If you have been married for 50 years, tell your son it is possible. Na sikuambie, wanawake wa siku hizi ni wengine. Hapana. Wanawake ni the same. Encourage him. If you see him that he has an issue raising his children, always mentor him. Number 4, paternal blessing predicts about the future. Predicts about the future. And finally, a paternal blessing protects from generational dysfunctions. So when you bless your son, when you bless your daughter, there is something that you are saying to them. Now, allow me to share with you some words that I hear dads use. An example of what you tell your son when it is coming from the depth of your heart, because you believe that your son will do better. You encourage him, predict the future, and let him know that he'll do better than he is doing now, and he'll do better even than you. Yeah, now there we are. Now this is what a father tells the son. Eh? Now I start with this part. It's a lengthy blessing, but I just read for you a small excerpt. My son, I may not have millions of dollars to give you, but I can work to make sure I give you the honor of a good family name. I know not every child can walk down the streets and hold their head high because of the actions of and lifestyles of their parents. My son, when you are away from me and hear my name called out, I want you to be able to stick out your chest rather than your tongue when my name is mentioned. So my son, because you are born of God, you shall overcome the world and every battle in it. That is encouragement. My son, as a Christian, I blot out every evil family record that may be speaking against us. At that point, umeangalia katika family tree, umeona wewe kwenye ulizaliwa nyinyi wote ni walevi. Your grandfather alikuwa mlevi. Your dad alikuwa mlevi. Wewe ni mlevi kupidukia. Your son hata anawekwa na drip. Ukiona sasa imefika hapo, muite. Call him and bless him. Umwambie hapana, hakuna kitu naitwa pombe ya ukoo. Mimi yako nimeikataa. I want to be a stronger man than I am. Like Joseph, may you receive the anointing to terminate generational battles. Like Jephthah, may you receive the grace to rewrite our family history positively. May you be used to kill the Goliaths that I and your mom and the parents before us could not kill. I am sending you out to go and become great. That means a great man of God leaves behind a greater generation, a stronger generation than he is or he ever was. Dear men, I'm sending you out to go and strengthen the generation that will come after you, the generations that you will leave. God has equipped you. God has strengthened you. Go out there and do the great things. Go and read John 14 verse number 12, that you can even do better than Jesus did. You can allow your sons to go further than you ever went. We would hope and pray that 70 years down the line, your sons will sit here. Your sons will sit here stronger than we are. Gentlemen, go and be great. God is with you. Asanteni sana na mbarikiwe sana.